Listen, I'm not trying to scare you. I would never try to scare you. I'm not trying to scare you. I would never try to scare you. Remember Full House? It was about that American dad who loses his wife in a car crash. That sucks. And gets help from his brother-in-law and best friend to help raise his 3 little gals. Although it started off slow in its first season, it quickly got positive reviews and everyone loved it. Seriously, back when TGIF was a thing, there was literally no one who thought it was corny. Everyone fucking loved it. Be quiet. I'm the authority here. You trying to tell me how to do my job? I don't go to yours and tell you how to do yours. I don't go to the trash factory and tell you how to make trash. Trash, 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 garbage, rubbish, peanut brittle. Sadly, ABC canceled the program in 1995, but it's still known as one of the best sitcoms in television history. When it was canceled, I was one of the crew on the set. We had to move everything to storage. So much for San Francisco. More like Storage, California. One day when I was in the storage unit, I was putting stuff in and I found a blank VHS tape. I expected it to be a film reel given I was part of the actual fucking filming, but no, it was a blank VHS tape. Go freaking figure. I was really curious about what it was because I was confused about why there would be a blank VHS tape in the Full House storage bin. I decided to take it home to see what was on it. I took a 6-pack of Oscar Mayer wieners and I put them in the microwave. No, I didn't remove the packaging. I nuked them in the microwave along with the packaging. The microphone exploded. And then the microwave exploded. I would no longer have a way of telling people my terrifying tale. Then I bought a microphone and a new microwave and another 6-pack of hot dogs and I microwaved them. Later that night, I put the tape in my VCR. That was a day that I will never forget. It was blank for almost 30 seconds until an ad for Oscar Mayer wieners played. You know, the one, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. That's the way I really ought to be. Well, I was like, what the fuck was that? I couldn't wait for the Full House episode to get going. Except something shocking and sinister happened. One of the children actually turned into an Oscar Mayer wiener. With all the trimmings. Oh, I don't want to go into the detail about how the trimmings became. But you know. And I know. That hot dogs are not people. As the intro went through, it went to black right when it was starting to show the cast. I was confused of why it stopped, but 10 seconds later the intro came on again, starting all the way back from the beginning. I thought it was strange because there was no way the tape could have rewound. I never hit the rewind button. I never heard of a tape rewinding in the VCR on its own before. I shrugged it off and went up to get my 6-pack of hot dogs out of the microwave. Then I continued watching the tape. When the intro ended, the episode started. It showed Danny and Rebecca hosting Wake Up San Francisco. Danny introduced himself, and then Rebecca started talking about his story. Danny laughed. It was a really forced laughter. I always heard that Danny Tanner really hated working on that show. I think his real name's Bob Saget. I'm going to call him Danny Tanner, though. I always heard he really hated that show. Rebecca was telling a story about dogs. Hot dog. Danny Tanner, Bob Saget, whatever the fuck his name was, said. Well, that was stupid, but suddenly things turned sinister. Danny got right up out of his seat with a sinister smile, grinning ear to ear. But it wasn't just teeth, they were sharpened like fangs. Danny got up. He covered Rebecca's mouth with a sinister hand. and slit her throat with a knife. Oh, no! As Rebecca fell to the ground, Danny looked into the camera and said, "You're one hot dog, San Francisco." It was at that moment that I realized that Rebecca was bleeding ketchup. I relished the moment. The screen then went to black, and I heard the sound of people screaming as if they were being murdered. Then there were sounds of chewing. It came back up with Danny walking into the house. Jesse, Joey, DJ, Stephanie, and Michelle were all sitting on the couch, giving him an angry face. Jesse points to the TV showing that Danny killing Rebecca had spread all over the news. Go frickin' figure. The newsman shows a picture of Danny and says it was all his fault. But they don't know where he went off to. Stephanie asks Danny why he did it. Tears all over her face. And mayo. Danny says that Rebecca was a horrible person and a bitch, and that she deserved to die. Joey then says that he's leaving and taking Jesse and the kids with him. Danny says it's too late and walks over to them and kills them with a knife off screen. Everyone's cries can be heard, followed by ketchup splattering all over the floor. And then the screen went to black. There were chewing sounds again. I really relished that moment, Danny Tanner said. The screen then came up to Danny in the kitchen cleaning ketchup off his shirt with water. It wasn't going so hot. It's kind of hard to get ketchup out of a shirt with water. Kimmy suddenly came in and confronted Danny with tears dripping from her face. Were those tears or ranch dressing? I couldn't tell the difference. She said that Danny was a monster, and she's calling the police to have him arrested. Danny says she can call the police, but she'll never reach them. Kimmy runs to the nearest telephone and dials 911. Danny pulls out a knife and slowly approaches her. Comet suddenly jumps on Danny, looking like he's trying to stop him from killing Kimmy, but I mean, it's a dog. What the fuck does a dog know? Listen, I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to tell you this, but Danny smiled. And he smiled some more. And then he pet Comet on the head, and Comet went and ran away, I guess into the basement. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. Danny continues approaching Kimmy. At this point, I was about to cry. This couldn't be right. This wasn't Full House. Then I realized I was probably just feeling a little queasy from eating the hot dog wrappings. Kimmy finally reaches the police on the phone, but before she can say a word, Danny stabs her in the back of her head, and the knife exits through her mouth. Danny pulls the knife out of her head, and Kimmy falls to the ground, deceased. The camera shows Kimmy's corpse for 10 seconds before the screen goes to black. This time, there weren't just chewing sounds. There was belching. The next couple of scenes finally made me cry. The screen came up showing subtitles saying, 5 hours later. It showed all of Danny's victims dead as creepy music played. I thought about it. Something didn't seem quite right. It was kind of ambient, had an organ sound, but I couldn't make sense out of it. It showed people with their throats slit, covered in ketchup, ripped up like hot dog meat. It seemed as if Danny killed everyone in San Francisco. It showed Danny walking downtown San Francisco covered in ketchup. Then the police finally confronted him, arrested him, told him that the hunt was over, and he'd have to find some place to Hines. Oh, but it was too late. They cuffed him. It was over, right? But no. Danny pulled out a knife and cut open the handcuffs and pulled out a gun and put it in his mouth and shot himself. That was unexpected. His ketchup splatters all over the place and onto the police. I was about ready to get up and turn the tape off at that point, but a message flashed on screen in gooey, yellow, mustard-tinned font. Cops deserve ketchup. What the hell was going on? That creepy music started playing again. I was trying to make sense of it, but I couldn't. Anyway, the episode was otherwise over. There were no credits. I was crying to myself. And I was very hungry, as if I hadn't eaten anything yet. I assumed it was from the stress of watching the tape. I finally took the tape to a forest far from my home, and I buried it. After that, I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep for days. I talked to a therapist. She told me to stop hot dogging it. I knew the series creator, Jeff Franklin. I phoned him one day, asked him if he knew anything about the tape. He merely told me that I'm a wiener and hung up the phone on me. As of today, I can't get the tape out of my head or that music. I hope no one ever finds that tape that I buried in the forest. And if they do... Wait a minute. It hit me now. That tune! The scary music? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It went something like this. Oh, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer.